Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a different episode of Breaking in Impact. I don't know what to call it at this point. A special episode. Obviously, I'm not here with my usual partner Cody. He's at a local show tonight, so we have to excuse him. But we have none other than my good friend Ed. How are you doing, Ed?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited to talk about Rebellion. It seems like it's an up and down card. There are some things on here I want to see. There are some things on here that I don't understand why they exist.
Same. Yeah, I figured it would be a good time to do a prediction show for Rebellion. But I feel like not a lot happened in tonight's episode of Impact, so there's not much to react to. But I figured with the pay-per-view coming up on Sunday, it will be a good time to do predictions for this, and then see how it happens now that we have the whole card. So we're gonna start with the pre-show. First of all, we have the Coven versus the Death Dolls. Um, this one, I don't know how to start with this, to be honest, because it's at a point that I feel like the Death Dolls are not gonna win, but at the same time, I don't want the Coven to retain because I just don't want Taylor Wilde as champion. So I'm like, if I'm picking based on who will win, is the Coven, but I don't want them to win. So I'm like, I'm kind of torn about it in that aspect. I'm like, what are your thoughts on that one, Ed?
I think the Coven are absolutely winning this. I don't understand what's going on with the Death Dolls. Why is Taya still part of the storyline? Why are they trying to get into the casket? I know it's the magical portal to get to the land of make believe, and think nice job for all those Mr. Rogers fans. Nice. But I mean, the Coven are winning this. I don't understand how Taylor Wilde has made her new protege look 20 years older in 2 weeks. That poor girl on Impact looked like she was about 10 years older than she was with the makeup and the lighting. It was so bad. I feel so bad for Kilynn King. But yeah, no, I think the Coven are going to win because I think
Yeah.
the Death Dolls are a mess right now, and I think we're going to be getting back Havoc in the very near
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, the way I see it, I think that the way that Rosemary and even Taya have been protecting her from like the magic part of it, I feel like sooner or later she's gonna end up maybe on that casket, and then when she comes out, it'll be Havoc and not just Jessicka anymore because the way they're like trying to avoid her with that magic there. So I'm like, I feel like once she hits that magic, and even with like to in the show with the cards and Taylor Wild, we had that aspect of her it's there too. It's like, oh, but the magic part. So I think once she hits the magic, she'll be transformed all over again. But I do wonder if like after that happens, she'll want to face Rosemary, or something will happen between them there to like break them up in that aspect, and then have Havoc by herself. But I feel like it that if it does come to that, which is what I'm thinking, kind of similar to what's gonna happen, I feel like it's just like they will have the Coven as the only tag team in the division there too. So it's like same thing to what happened with the Death Star before the Coven came in. So just I don't like that part of it though. I like when you have a tag team championship. I wish we have more of a line of people like lining up to get the title shot, not having like the champion only being the only team in the division. So that's the only thing that it's like kind of bittersweet about it if you think about it in that aspect, I
Well,
guess.
I think you've got Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans that I think are going to be the next team to challenge. I think you can make some makeshift teams.
Yeah.
You can bring in people like the Hexagon. I think that might be another short-term solution is doing a short program with the Hex. Like I said, we'll find out more coming out of Rebellion. But again, like all things in wrestling, the more things change, the more things stay the same.
Yeah. Next up, this was announced on Twitter a few minutes ago, after the show ended. Champagne, Singh and Shera versus Heath and Rhino. I I don't see Champagne and Shera just winning this. I just I feel like it's more towards Heath and Rhino in that aspect. I don't
Oh,
see much
really?
going on after this. I don't know. I'm stuck on that one because it was felt like it came out of nowhere and it was here. But yeah, I feel it's more like Heath and Rhino for me at least. What about
Oh
you?
no, oh no! I think it's 100% Champagne Singh and Shera. I absolutely think they're going to win. Why? Because it's the worst possible outcome, and I guarantee you, half these matches are going to have the worst possible outcome. No, I think that Impact sees something in them. I think coming out of this tag team title match, I don't think Heath and Rhino are back up to the top of the card. I think you've got other tag teams that need to get mixed in. I could see a short feud with the winners of the tag team Ultimate X match taking on a Champagne Singh and a Sierra for a brief, very brief amount of time. But I think a big win, especially on a pre-show, like if this Raw match were on the main card, maybe Heath and Rhino win.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see Impact going with Champagne saying, "Gosh,
It's amazing. Don't you love it, Ed?
it's so wonderful." I am so glad that both of my least favorite things are on the pre-show. So like if I miss the pre-show, I don't have to watch it. I don't
Yeah.
have to watch Taylor Wilde. I don't have to watch Champagne Sing.
Mm-hmm.
I can just watch some really good wrestling on that main card. And mind you, there's some really bad wrestling on this main card in one of these matches.
Yeah. Uh, we'll go to the next one. We have Eddie Edwards versus PCO. And then we have Eddie coming up with Alisha here too. Uh, I'm just tired of this. It's one of those storylines that I can't wait for it to be over. I don't care who wins this at this point. I just want it to be done, and that's it. And have them both move on from this. I do think like perhaps being like Alicia with Eddie probably win this match still compared to PCO. But I feel like I don't care about it at this point. I feel like it's been going on for way too long. And I'm just waiting for like this to be the end of that chapter between them and something new to begin afterwards. What are your thoughts on that one?
What is a last rights match?
I'm still stuck between like a buried alive match or like a casket match, and I even asked Cody, is like I don't know which one of these two it goes, and I'm still like debating.
Like, didn't we already
Yeah,
have the buried alive match when Kenny King ran over?
yeah, sort of.
You
So,
know
I
what?
don't know.
Common logic says Eddie Edwards should win this match. The heel should win. He has the hot lady by his side, to go. He has his wife there. And mind you, that's the role she's playing in this. Like, let's not get it twisted. I saw how she was dressed the other night. There's a specific role that they have her playing for Eddie
Yeah.
Edwards here.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's fine. Like, I think Eddie Edwards is a fantastic. They're both fantastic Bostonians. I always root for the two of them. I don't understand how she's gotten to the lengths that she's gotten to. She reminds me a lot of Aaliyah. People who just hang around championships and hang around companies, and I look at you and I go, but why? Why
I think
is
the only
Aaliyah?
difference, yeah, but Alicia has a personality at least. Aaliyah doesn't have that.
Does she? Does she?
Yeah,
No, no.
yes, she's
Eddie
fun
has a
too.
Eddie has a personality, and she zaps the charisma from Eddie and uses a little bit of it when she's around him. When she's on screen on her own, she's void of all charisma and personality. And I don't even hate Alisha. I think
I
Alisha's
know.
actually a relatively decent wrestler. But Eddie Edwards, like, you got to go back to the old Impact. And when the Wolves came into Impact, how big and important it was that these guys chose Impact over WWE. Because they were destined for WWE coming out of all their indie work. And they were like, no, we're going to go into Impact. We're going to work with MVP. That whole scenario. They were the biggest thing in the world. They had, I believe it was the Hardys and Team 3D and the Wolves had that best of 7 triple threat tag team series. Which, by the way, sounds convoluted as hell, but they are some of the best tag team wrestling matches Impact's ever put on. And that's saying something, considering Impact's tag team division has been stacked for years.
Yeah.
How we got to the Wolves when we're talking about Eddie Edwards versus PCO. Oh, I know why. Because there's nothing else to talk about in this match. Yeah, I think Eddie Edwards is going to win because I don't see a point to having PCO win. So common
Yeah.
logic says Eddie has to win.
Mm-hmm. Yep, now to the next one. After tonight's show, it is officially that Mickie James has not been cleared to be in this match. She had to relinquish the title, so now we will for sure have a new champion. So it'll be Jordynne versus Deonna for the Knockout Championship. Um, this one to me, even as Deonna won the match from Multiverse United to be in this match, I thought it has to be Deonna. Like I don't see a reason why Jordynne should get the championship back after losing it. I feel like Deonna needs that moment to shine because she hasn't had it in quite a little bit. And I feel like ever since she lost all the championships, she has been lost in that shuffle and Impact, and I feel like she needs that. And I feel like it will bring something new to the table here by having there be there and have all the new people challenging for her in the back as well. Because I'm like, I would like to see her versus Killer Kelly or versus Masha for the championship. I feel like it will give it like even more of a purpose to it with the championship involved as well. So I can't only see Deonna winning it. I'd be surprised if Jordynne does win it though. But yeah, I'm definitely going with Deonna. I can go against her on this one. How about you?
I mean, Jordynne never really lost the title. Let's be honest here. Mickey tapped, and
Mhm.
they were hoping to tell a storyline with that, and unfortunately, injuries have come in the way, and Mickey's not going to be able to tell that story. Um, I agree with you. I don't. There's nothing new under the sun for Jordynne Grace to do if she gets this title back. I don't see any reason not to put it on her. I think she's your biggest star, and sometimes when you have a champion who has to vacate the title, putting it on a star, putting it on a name, and just putting it on somebody to get matches in is a good idea. But we just had a long reign from Jordynne Grace where we saw multiple Masha matches. We've seen her against everybody, whether it be Giselle Shaw or Deonna Purrazzo or Mickey James or Tasha Steeles. I think putting Deonna back in that title position and having her continuing to feud with Giselle Shaw, bringing in a Killer Kelly, bringing in a Kilynn King, bringing in a
Mhm.
Havoc. I think
Yeah.
in the next few months, I think we're going to see Havoc in this division. Potentially getting Rosemary a singles championship shot, which I
Yeah.
don't think she's had in probably, what, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, it feels like quite a while. And I feel like you also build up the new people like Jody Threat. Like imagine Jody Threat versus Gianna. Like I would love to see that. So it's just like I feel like it brings something new to that table or something like something fresh for them now versus what Jordynne have been going on. And I feel like once Mickey heals, Mickey can easily be involved in the title picture when she returns. So I just
If Mickey returns.
yeah, big if. But yeah, but if she does, I feel like it will be a good way to like involve her
That's not what I.
in the storyline as it is. Um, but yeah, who's your pick though? I'm guessing Gianna based on what you said.
Yeah, I think Deanna's going to win. I think the power couple story is a little bit too hard not to tell.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think it could be a fun story to tell. So yeah, I'm going with Deonna. I could see Jordynne winning this, and I'd be fine with it. I just
Hmm.
think there's more meat on the bone with Deonna having a title reign after a while where she hasn't. I'm also not looking forward to having to watch Impact listening to Matt Raywalt when she wins this title
That's true.
because it's going
Yes.
to be insufferable.
Oh, very. Uh, Next up, we had the Bullet Club. I guess now as they call, as I put in the next graphic, the ABC versus the Motor City Machine Guns in an Ultimate X match for the World Tag Team Championship. This one, I honestly don't see the Bullet Club losing it so quickly after winning it. I know this is going to be still one of the best matches of the night because it's the Machine Guns and Bullet Club. They already have great chemistry as it is, and I feel like nothing bad's going to come out of this match, and I feel like either way, it's going to be great to build up the Bullet Club with having this win in this type of match. So it's like the Bullet Club is hot right now. I can't see them taking the titles away from them like this. So I'm sticking with them. What about you?
Uh, I think it's easy as ABC in this alphabet soup match. Ultimate X, Bullet Club, ABC. Why are they calling them ABC? I don't get it.
I guess I would have preferred to say just Ace and Bay and just keep it like that
Yeah,
because it
where's
sounds
the C
better.
come from? I don't get it. Where's the C come?
I don't know.
I don't know. This match is gonna be match of the night. Like, no offense to
Mhm.
the next match that we're gonna talk about, the X Division title match. No
Yeah.
offense to those boys, but these four men are gonna put on a banger.
Oh
I
yes.
mean, we've got Motor City Machine Guns in Ultimate X.
Hmm.
There needs not
That
said anything else.
yeah, I was gonna say that's enough as it is. That's all we needed to know. As you said, like next up we had Trey Miguel versus Gresham versus Mike Bailey for the X Division Championship, but this one is a little bit different as it's an elimination match. I feel like this is gonna be super interesting. I'm still like torn on this one because I like how it's been with Trey lately, and I like how he thought like he was outsmarting both of the guys by getting into the match. So it was like kind of like I won't have a contender. There's no winner to this. But later on we get it's like no, we're gonna put both of them in the matches. Got involved yourself in it, and then it's like oh it's okay. I can just basically pick one of them and I'm done. He's like no, not only have to pick one of them, you have to pick both of them to keep your title. So I feel like that I like that challenge being given to Trey Miguel in this aspect. Um, I I'm still torn about it though, but I want to stick to Trey. But I'm like, oh, what if somebody else wins it? I don't know. I'm still thrown about it, but I think I'm gonna stick to Trey for now and stick to our champion. Sorry. What about you, Ed?
Give me Jonathan Gresham here, please. I don't have the same appeal that you guys have for Trey Miguel. Um,
Yeah.
I think he was the least talented of the three when he was in the group. Um, I think he's been one of the most unimpressive X Division champions in a long time. Um, I thought that the four that were in what was kind of like a contenders match on
Mm-hmm.
Impact
Yeah.
are more entertaining stars, and one of those people is Lince Dorado. Like Lince Dorado, Trey Miguel's fine. Like he's great, but the X division has always stood for excellence. It's always been a cut above everything else. I don't think Trey Miguel has done, especially in this reign. I don't think he's done it. You have Jonathan Gresham and Mike Bailey. Both of these guys could use a nice run with a championship. I think, with everything that Gresham's had to do for this company for the last few months since he's been here,
Yeah.
give this man a championship and just let him put on banger after banger after banger with everybody. Like
Yeah.
Jonathan
Yeah.
Gresham versus Laredo Kid. Now, in all honesty, I think Trey Miguel wins this. I'm taking Jonathan Gresham, but with Laredo Kid having won the match on Impact, I
Mhm.
see no reason not to have Trey win it because Trey's the one who was in the ring with him when he got
Mhm.
hurt and almost died. So it makes sense that they would tell the story
Mhm.
to have Laredo Kid be the one to take it off of him. I still think that's a mistake. I would still take the belt off of him. Then I could at least see the nice pretty belt underneath all the
Spray
green
paint. Yeah.
spray paint. At
Yeah.
least with the NWO spray painted belt, you could like read the lettering.
Mhm.
Trey Miguel has all kinds of just green shapes and designs on there.
Yes.
Can you tell I'm not a Trey Miguel fan?
Really, you and 98 viewers are fans. So,
I mean,
um,
Cody apparently.
both of you. Next up is the match I'm not looking forward to the most. This is Team Bully. I think the match, the graphic was changed a little bit later on. But this is what we had before. They had the Good Hands, Masha, and Kenny. But they got replaced here later in the graphic. And if I'm not mistaken, it's Brian Myers and Moose now instead of the Good Hands. And then we keep
Yes.
Masha and Kenny here as it was. And then we had Teen Dreamer, Yua Mora, Raj, and then we have Killer Kelly in the background and Kazarian with Tommy Dreamer in the front. Um, yeah, this one's one of those that I just want this to be over. I really do. We've been watching this for so long, and I really thought that busted open match was gonna be like, here, it's over. And then we get this. Um, I do like having like the younger guys and girls involved in this, just because I feel like it will kind of highlight them. If otherwise, they wouldn't have been part of this like part of the card. But I just the involvement of Bully and Dreamer, I'm done with it already as it is. Um, I honestly, I'm like, I don't know who to pick for this one. I just want it to be over. I'm guessing because of the way it's been, probably Team Bully just wins it, for, most likely. Um, yeah, I feel like the little promo they gave us towards the end in the staircase with Bully and Ray, it just feels like they were like one of a united front. Versus when Kenny King versus Kazarian happened, it was Killer Kelly and Kaz and Dreamer getting beat up, and I don't know if I saw the rest of the team being involved in this. So I see more like Team Bully coming in with more like a strong front, and then we have also the aspect of like the good hands are no longer in the match, so that means that they could be involved in this outside of it since not in the match as it was before. So I feel like that's the only thing that I keep thinking of. I'm done with it for now. What about you? What do you have any thoughts on this one?
Can we have another busted open segment?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Whatever happens, happens. I don't care. There are some really cool, talented young guys on Team Dreamer. I think Team Dreamer wins, but that's only because I want these young guys to get a big win, and I think it's kind of pointless if they don't. So I think adding
Mm-hmm.
in guys like Moose and adding in people like Brian Myers helps give Uemura a big upstart. It helps Guru get a big upstart. I think it's his name,
Hmm.
right? Guru
I
Raj.
Yeah, I keep forgetting his
Bupinder?
name too.
Bupinder.
Bupinder, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
always
guy.
forget his name for some reason. Sorry.
He's great. It's the guy in the back behind Tommy Dreamer and Yumura. That guy.
I know, you can barely see him in the graphic too, which doesn't
I
help
love
either.
him. He's great. Like I can't pronounce his name to save my
I
life.
can't either.
The dude's great. I love him. I think him and Yumamura are stars in the making. I'm
Hmm.
super excited for them. A match that I'm excited for because it's going to be a fun match, not because it's going to be a good match. There's a lot of
Hmm.
story in this match, and we have the Design versus Dirty Dango, Joe Hendry, and Santino Marella is back in the ring. The DOA is back in the ring.
Yeah.
I had to pull this one
Ah,
up because we had forgotten about it.
yeah. This one, it just I feel bad because I know that John Henry was part of the like one of the teams for Multiverse United and he lost. It's like you can't have Joe Henry lose like this, people. Come on. Um, yeah, it's like
Right.
I think it'll be interesting seeing Santino in the ring and the combination of all three of them in here. I feel like they'll be in a multi-man match. In a way a good opportunity for Joe to win and not get pinned. You can easily have somebody like Santino get pinned, who is probably not going to wrestle after this. So I think it's just interesting. I also wonder how the Callingham factor will play into this with the design and the steps and step seven and everything going on. Um, so that's the only thing I keep thinking about. Uh, I can only see the design winning this though. I don't really see them losing at this time. But I feel like it will be some kind of like seeds of doubt in this match. Like I wonder if Callahan's gonna get replaced with Angels because I see Angels more towards the back of the graphic, like he's not part of it in a way. So I wonder if something like that's gonna happen later on. Who do you have for that one?
No, Callahan's not getting replaced. I think Callahan's going to be the main portion of this storyline when it comes to the design side.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Sam Callahan takes the seventh step. I think this is the seventh step. I think putting in people like Dirty Dango and Santino Marella with Joe Hendry, say his name and he appears.
He's not here.
I know we believe in Joe Hendry though. That being said, Joe Hendry's team is losing this match. The only way they win this match is if Sammy turns on the design. But I
Hmm.
think you have to go a little bit further with the story
Yeah.
before Sammy turns.
Hmm.
Plus, I think that Cody Deaner is doing some of the greatest work he's ever done in his entire career right now. And I would hate to put anything bad on him right now. I think he's a star. I think he's the kind of guy with this group that would be a nice first step for a Maclin and well, not a first step, but a step down the line. Say 2 months from now, as we get closer to the next big show. Is it Bound for Glory? Right? Is the next big one? I
Let
think.
me double check because I can't always.
I think the design versus
Mm.
Steve Maclin is your next big money feud.
Well, the next one will be Made Under Siege, London,
Yeah,
Ontario.
that's
And
small.
then
That's
against
gonna
the
be
loss, yeah, it's the next one. So I think out of the like big ones, if you want
the
to call
big
it.
four. Yeah. Oh,
And then
Slammiversary.
Slammiversary, yeah, in
Yep.
July. Hmm.
So I think Slammiversary in July, you'll probably have the design
Yeah.
versus Maclin. As I think until then, I think you have guys like Frankie Kazarian and Rich Swann and baby faces that can just go ahead and get put up and put down um,
Hmm.
for Maclin. But I think coming out of this match, I think it's going to be setting up Cody Deaner as a world championship contender down the line.
Yeah. Well, last but not least, our main event, with Josh being out of commission, we have Steve Maclin versus Kushida. We're definitely gonna have a new Impact World Champion. I mean, I have no other pick other than Steve Maclin. I feel like you said earlier. I think back of like I see the power couple being the champions at the end of the night, and I feel like either way this was supposed to be the plan, so I would just stick to the plan and keep it as it is. Obviously, the story's not gonna have the same type of feel because I knew it would have been a different impact, and pun intended, with Josh losing in Canada. But I feel like it's still something that we can revisit later on, and we can see this happening. But I only see Steve winning this and just I think it'll be interesting seeing like Scott D'Amore's demeanor after having Steve Maclin as world champion, which is something that I want to see after his promo. I think last week, if I'm not mistaken, when it happened. Definitely like the best promo I've heard from Scott D'Amore ever. So after hearing that, it makes me think of like how he would react to having Steve Maclin as his champion. And I would like to see them like say on screen like, oh, we have Deonna and Steve as champions now, and like the power couple is the one in basically in charge of this, or like the ones that are in control of their divisions. And Yeah, I was like, I don't see Kushida win this at all. I think it's just obviously just a placement there for Josh as it is, and nothing else to it. So my pick is definitely Steve. What about you, Ed?
So, I mean, I think obviously I made my pick, a little bit prior to this, saying that Steve Maclin's going to win. In the Deonna match, I said Steve Maclin was going to win in the match before this. I have a bigger question for you. I brought this up on a show that I was on a few months ago when we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
Josh relinquishing the title in ways that they can go. I I feel wholeheartedly that the world champion of your company has to be somebody who can represent your company on a global stage in so many ways. The world champion has to be able to do interviews. The world champion has to be able to do press. There are so many things that a world champion does besides be in the ring. I think Kushida is one of the most fantastic, talented, pound for pound, best wrestlers in the world. He and Jonathan Gresham had a banger match about less than a month or so ago that I think was 4.5 stars on television. You don't get 4.5 star television matches very often. I don't think you can make Kushida the world champion of an American televised wrestling company because I don't think his English is good enough to be able to do the job of a world champion for a long term period. If you want the shock factor, I think he can win here and lose it under siege. I worry about what that does to Steve Maclin if you do that. But I think everybody and their mother knows that Steve Maclin's winning here, and I worry about the "hey, let's swerve him, bro" mentality
Yeah.
that is prevalent in wrestling and do the unexpected thing.
Yeah.
What do you think about that point? We got a little bit of time here. What do you think about the
Mm-hmm.
point of having somebody who isn't the greatest English speaker being your world champion, your the face of your franchise? Is that
Mm-hmm.
something that you think American companies can do in this day and age of social media and still full media?
Yeah. I think you also have to think back of what happened last week. When Josh was relinquishing the title. We had Josh talking, we had Scott Demore talking, and then we went to Steve. We never heard from Kushida, and there's a reason why. And I feel like it's more sticking to him being with like Time Machine and the machine guns and keeping that moving forward. But I don't see him as a world champion, not yet at least. And like you said, I understand where you're coming from. Like if you want your world champion to be able to deliver these promos, almost on a weekly basis, because the promos are done so often and we haven't heard from Kushida. All we've seen him is attack Steve, hit Steve, beat down Steve. So it's like you can tell like that's kind of like the way they're using the language with him because they know that he cannot deliver those promos the way he should. And I noticed that last week when Josh was relinquishing the titles, that we didn't hear from Kushida. And it's like I know it was a great way to promote the match. Don't get me wrong, I love this segment, but you could see from like their point of view, it was more Steve selling us the match and Scott the more than Kushida being in it. So like if Kushida wasn't part of it, I would have been like, what the heck is he doing there? Because he did nothing in there in that aspect of it to like sell us that match, even though it's him and Steve. So I understand your point of like, I feel like Steve is the one to go. You have to give Steve that opportunity as well. We've been waiting for like months and months, building him up for this, and I feel like they're already chanting, "Oh, you tapped out." So I don't think you want him to like lose to like to this match when he gets his title shot after like wanting it for so long. And it's like you could see like going forward, it should be with him. And like I said, it just revisit him and Josh later when Josh is healed is the only thing that makes sense to me. And I feel like anybody that comes in and wants to line up for a title shot, it makes more sense with Steve being there than with Kushida right now, like in that spot. And that's how I see it. So it's like I understand where you're coming from with the promos and things like that. So it's like if he cannot deliver the promo on a weekly basis to say and to sell us the match, it's not gonna work out as well. So I only see in that aspect as one of the reasons why I also see Steve winning because you build them up to this and you've been like giving him those tools to like get him there. And obviously, even though I would have wanted to see Steve and Josh do having the match themselves, but this is Steve's spot. It has to be. It was like I think it would be like the total shock at the end of the night to see Kushida win. I feel like either way, people are going to be happy because people like Kushida, but still, it's not going to be the best thing for the product going forward with the storylines that they have. So that's why I only pick Steve, and I get like that point of where you're coming from. So it's like
Yeah.
there's no way to like not cheer for Steve in this match.
It's just like I said, and I'm not knocking Kushida, and I'm not saying that non-English
Yeah.
speaking people can't win championships. I think, looking at Asuka is a wonderfully talented Japanese wrestler who speaks enough English to be given the ball and run with the world championship. Um, and it's not just promos in the ring; it's going out and doing media, and I think that's the biggest part of it. Are you going to send Kushida to a radio station and have him do an interview on the radio? Because I wouldn't. But I love Kushida. I think he's great. If you said that this match was going to be Trey Miguel versus Kushida and Steve Maclin versus Chris Bay, I'd be so much more excited for this card if I could swap those, like do some little swaps here and there and create my own card. I think that would be so great. I think Steve Maclin's going to be a fantastic champion, and you run the risk if you don't do it now. You've built and built and built, and unlike the Josh Alexander Moose situation that we had before, where Alexander won and then Moose cashed in, if Steve just flat out loses here, I think that severely cripples the character Steve Maclin going forward, and that would be a damn shame because they've done such a good job getting him to where they are. And him being the champion that Scott D'Amore hates, what I thought they were going to do with Bully Ray, is such a good story. And I can see Scott lining up challenger after challenger and finding babyface after babyface to throw at Maclin, and Maclin somehow, some way overcomes the odds and beats him time in and time out. But this card is fantastic. There's so many good matches on this card. As long as you don't watch the pre-show, it's going to be fine. Really. There's only one stinker on the main card, and that's Team Bully versus Team Dreamer. The rest of the rest of the top of the card is fantastic. And like I said, the only two matches that I don't give a damn about, and I think I speak for you, are the Death Dollz versus the Coven and Heath and Rhino versus Shera and Singh. Because we don't like the Coven. Let's just be honest. We don't think Taylor Wilde is the best representative.
I was gonna say we don't like Taylor Wilde. I like Kilynn King. I just don't like Taylor Wilde.
I think Kilynn King is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think she has the brightest future in the world. I mean, it's hard not to have a bright future when you're 22 years old, like Kilynn King is. I think she's absolutely fantastic. But that match does nothing for me. It does not excite me to watch this pay-per-view. I think that's one of their downfalls with the way they've built this. Is I would have taken one of these big matches and put it on the pre-show. And as crazy as it sounds, I think it would have been the 6-man tag. I think that 6-man tag would be fantastic on the pre-show, leading right into the show.
Yeah. And when I think about it this way too, I'm not, and for me, like the Team Bully versus Team Dreamer is just a part of having Bully and Dreamer there. If I could take them out of that match, I would be excited for the match. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that bothers me from this match. Like the two older guys that I wish were not there. That's the only thing I'm not looking forward to because I just want that part to be over. Because I like having the younger wrestlers involved in this and like having a female on each side. Like I love that aspect of it. But I'm like, if I could take that Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer, that would have been like a great match for me. Like sold.
If you could make this match the Good Hands and Moose versus Yumamura, Bhupinder, Kazarian, and then Killer Kelly and Masha on their respective sides, that's a hell of a match. I'm excited as hell to watch that. But you add in Bully Ray and you add in Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer instantly makes whatever match is going to be unwatchable.
Yeah.
It's like Ric Flair to me nowadays. If you tell me Ric Flair is going to wrestle, I'll tell you take your show and go sell it to somebody else because I'm not buying. I can't. Yeah. I just can't. And Tommy Dreamer is the same way. Bully Ray is a talented, amazing wrestler who has a lot to give this business still. Like, I know we're sick of him, but he has a lot to give this business still, even because he can have great matches. We saw with Josh Alexander, he can have top of the main card, main event level matches and perform at that level. He is that man. He is that good. He's annoying. He's the best heel and he's one of the best heels in wrestling because of who he is.
Yeah.
Do you know who I am is a great catchphrase.
Yeah.
But looping in Dreamer and making this about Busted Open and everything they've done about that has made this bad. Tommy Dreamer versus Yumamura. Tommy Dreamer versus Gujar. Those matches would be bangers. But we've got Tommy Dreamer hanging around here. We had Darren McCarty out here last week. Like, these are things. We all rag on WWE for bringing back the legends and having them be too involved and bringing in celebrities and have them too involved. WWE's been very smart about their celebrity involvement lately. WWE's been very smart, especially under Triple H, about bringing back legends and making sure legends are doing what they need to do to make things a better thing. Impact needs to look at Tommy Dreamer and go, you get one more. Pick your match and have it. Because after this one, you're done. Because Tommy Dreamer is such a smart person in the wrestling business. He has a lifetime of knowledge to give. And remembering Tommy Dreamer from ECW, there's so much psychology that he can give. There's so much help he can be in the back. But he can't do it on camera anymore. And he can't do it in the ring anymore. But Trey Miguel, Jonathan Gresham, Mike Bailey is going to kill it. Ace and Bay versus Motor City Machine Guns is going to be fantastic. It's going to be must watch. I'm going to get Astrid's information from Impact Plus so I can watch that match. Jordynne Grace versus Deonna Purrazzo is going to be fantastic. Those two girls are going to put on a banger. The six-man tag is going to be so much fun and so much storytelling. Steve Maclin and Kushida is going to be a match. An important match. And whether or not Impact does the right thing. This card... And then Eddie Edwards and PCO are there. And they're getting paid, and good for them. But yeah, I'm excited for this show. I'm excited to see what you and Cody have to say about it next week as you guys review the recap of this match. But yeah, I'm excited to see where Impact goes from here because this is a tipping point for them. Mickie James, your two world champions have come down hurt. You're relinquishing the title off of your two biggest champions. You're going to have to tell storylines on a fly now. Are you going to sink or are you going to swim? Impact, I have all the faith in the world in you. Do the right thing.
Yeah, and I like how you were mentioning the part about like Believer and Dreamer too. It's like, for me, it's one of those like I said, if I could remove both of them because not only am I bored of both of them together and what's going on because it's not progressing any further and it's all the same thing in different ways. But the inclusion of like Busted Open and just like, okay, we get it. They have their show on Busted Open. They work together. They hate each other. You know, it's just like I want that aspect to be removed. And I feel like this is just one huge advertisement for the Busted Open because that's what it feels like at this point. But it's like more than anything, what I see is the people, you know, behind them, as the teams themselves, the members, and having all these like younger talent being here and be helped or like be here learning from Dreamer and Bully, which is what's the important part for them. Like if I could just remove both of them and just, you know, keep the good hands over here, you know, I would have been happy with that. So just like I just don't see the story doing much to it. I wish I would just whoever wins it for this one just be the end of it and that move on from there. I feel like that's what I would love and just kind of pick the teams from here and do like Masha and Killer Kelly afterwards and like pick up little parts here and there from the members of each team going against each other, just not involving Bully Ray and Dreamer. The other thing is like for me, I would have done like aside from the match that you suggested, I would have done the Trey Miguel, Gresham and Bailey matches the pre-show too, because even though, you know, we have Trey always talking about being the pre-show, but I feel like the X Division, it's such a good way to start a show with the fast pace of it. Like I feel like it's a great motivation for people to buy the products and buy that pay-per-view. It's like that's one of the matches that I would have done there instead. And like we said earlier, it's like I love it, and I love it. I'm very happy for Kylie Kid being here. I feel she has a great future in wrestling. Um, I'm not interested in having Taylor as a champion, and I know they're gonna retain, so it's not gonna help me in that aspect either. And the Death Dolls, I feel like it just like at the same time it's just ending soon, so I don't. I just wanted to end it at just end it, finish it, and we're done with it. Um, but yeah, it's like little things here and there that I'm like, we've been talking about this for months now, and I just want these stories to be over, like Eddie Edwards and PCO too. I'm just ready for this to like be done and let's move on from that. Because I feel like if I've seen it for way, way too long in two like different ways, but I've seen it too many times, I don't want to watch it again. So just I'm at the point of like I hope that the end of this and the next pay per view will be like a huge kind of like refresh to what's going on with the divisions too. Um, but yeah, other than that, I'm still gonna watch it because I'm gonna recap it later. But I'm excited for like most of the card, which I'm happy about. I'm just more than anything, but to be biting my nails to just main event to see what route Impact decides to do. Um, but yeah, other than that, from whatever we were talking about today, what else do you have going on pretty soon, or I guess this weekend?
Um, I'm part of the Ole family. We got all kinds of good stuff going on there. I am going to be doing, in preparation for the draft, me and Chris Parrish are going to be doing a draft show, I believe, at some point in the near future. I am going to be, as always, co-hosting, taking over with my tag. No, I got to do this right now. My tag team partner, Ashley Pizarro. As every Tuesday night, we review NXT. Just building to the wonder that is going to be Battleground. I'm forgetting about spring breaking.
I was gonna say you do that.
I'm skipping spring breaking. I'm all mind focused on Battleground for the homecoming of Carmelo Hayes. No, it's gonna be great. I'm excited. What do you got going on? You got some fun stuff coming.
I know I have an episode of Astronauts that I'm hoping to record sometime this month, if not May. I'm hoping it's this month though, for sure. Like you said, other than that, I do have taking over with you on Tuesdays that we're doing and making an impact. We'll be talking about Rebellion and what happens in the that impact show on Thursday. And Ladies Wrestling Showcase, coming up basically today when this comes out, Friday. We'll be talking about Mercedes and her winner. I'm excited to hear about Mel's view on this because I know she's a New Japan, fan. So I want to see what it's like for her watching this match, especially having a Mercedes involved in there. Yeah, and then as you said, we're part of the OLE family. I do have a show called Killer Cuts with Bobby. We talk about horror movies. So far we've done 2 chapters on Scream, and then we'll have another one coming up pretty soon. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot going on, and not only Backbreaker Media, but our local establishments as a whole. So I would, subscribe to both channels because you never know what's coming up next, and there's a lot of content happening as well. So just, you know, there's a little bit of everything. So you'll find something that you enjoy in like the channel. So just subscribe and follow the social media platforms for for both places. So that way, I think it'll be easier for you to catch on what we have. Whether it's like we said, it's horror movies, it could be video games, it could be like fair mindful. So you never know what you're gonna end up enjoying. So just watch along, see what happens. I want to thank you for being here with me tonight to do these predictions. I know, we have you here when Cody isn't able to do us. I'm glad it's with you of all people that I get to enjoy this with. I'll tell my boss to send you the check. We got this. But no, I appreciate you coming on here with me, and thank you everybody for watching. I hope you guys enjoy Rebellion as much as we do after we watch it. We'll see you next time.
Bye.